You ever hear someone say they felt invisible? Well, I was worse than invisible. I was dead, at least on paper. And not because of a clerical error, not some twisted accident. No. Someone filled out that form. Someone mailed it in. And someone started collecting my checks before my bones were even cold. Only thing was, I was still breathing. I'm 75 years old, and I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment tucked behind a laundromat in Willow Creek. Quiet little place. Been here for 14 years. Long enough that my mailman knows I drink my coffee black and my knees predict the weather. I wear the same outfit most days, a white blouse, charcoal gray slacks, and my old burnt orange cardigan that's got elbows softer than a baby's cheek. My hair's a tidy silver bob, and I keep my key necklace tucked under my blouse. That key opens my mailbox. That mailbox used to open hope. Until the mail just stopped. No Social Security. No Medicare updates. Not even junk mail. I started thinking maybe the world finally gave up on me. But I hadn't given up on it. The first time I noticed, I was halfway down the stairs to check the box. I remember my steps echoing in that narrow hallway, fluorescent lights buzzing above like flies. I opened the box. Nothing. Second day? Still nothing. Third? Just a flyer for discounted cremation services. How's that for irony? I went down to the post office. I smiled at the young clerk, a freckled boy with sleepy eyes who always says, "Afternoon, ma'am." But this time, his smile dropped the second I gave him my name. "I'm sorry, ma'am," he said, glancing awkwardly at the screen. It says here, you're deceased." I laughed. Thought he was joking. "Do I look dead to you?" He didn't laugh. He looked nervous. "It's marked in the system. You'll have to speak with Social Security." I left that post office in a daze. My legs barely held me up. I sat on the bench outside in that sharp autumn air, and thought, someone declared me dead. And whoever did that, knew exactly what they were doing. I called Social Security. After 2 hours on hold and 4 transfers, I finally got a woman on the line. "Ma'am," she said, "according to our records, you passed away 3 weeks ago. Your benefits were suspended. A death certificate was submitted." A death certificate. I never had kids of my own. My only family, at least by blood, is my late brother's daughter, Teresa. Lives in that big house on Oak Street with her husband and 2 boys. She's always been sweet, but distant. Called me once every 3 months like clockwork. Asked about my health, the weather. Said all the right things. Then 3 weeks ago, the calls stopped too. I knew something was off. So I called Teresa. "Hello?" Her voice was shaky. "It's me," I said. Silence. Then, a gasp. "Aunt Ruth." "Unless I've risen from the grave," I said dryly. She was quiet again. Then she laughed, nervous. "Oh my God, this is, what happened?" I thought." "You thought what?" "I thought, we got a call," she stammered. "We were told you passed." I didn't know what to do. The boys cried. I clenched my fist around the receiver. "Did you file a death certificate, Teresa?" "What? No. Of course not. Why would I? That's illegal." "Yes. It is. And yet, someone did." That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed, watching headlights slip across the ceiling, my thoughts racing. I thought about all the years I sent Teresa birthday cards, tucked a $20 bill inside for each boy. All the times I took the bus across town with a casserole when she said she was too tired to cook. I thought about the time I gave her my spare key. Trusted her. Trusted her enough to handle my mail when I had the flu last year. Then I remembered something, a whisper of a conversation from months back. She'd asked me if I'd ever made arrangements, just in case. She said it gently, like a nurse preparing a needle. I told her no. I said I was still living. She must have gotten tired of waiting. I spent the next few days digging. I visited the Social Security office in person. I brought my ID, my lease, even the prescription bottle for my nightstand. Still breathing. Still alive. They opened an investigation, said it would take weeks. Weeks I didn't have. Because if someone was cashing my checks, and I knew they were getting away with it right now. So I walked down to the county clerk's office, sat under the hum of flickering lights, and paid $18 for a copy of my death certificate. I stared at it with shaking hands. Signed and dated. Claimed I'd passed away at 3:42 a.m. on September 8th. Filed by Teresa R. Dalton, my niece. That night, I made tea and turned off the lights. Sat in silence. The radiator hissed behind me like a sleeping dragon. And I thought about everything I'd lost, my identity, my dignity, my income. But the thing I couldn't stop thinking about was this. They thought I was weak. They thought I wouldn't fight. And that was their mistake. The next morning, I put on my burnt orange cardigan, pressed my blouse, and slipped my mailbox key around my neck. I took the bus downtown and walked into the office of a lawyer named Gail Matthews. She used to be my tenant before she made partner. I never raised her rent. She owed me. I handed her the death certificate. "Ruth," she said, blinking. "You're suing." I smiled. "Oh no, dear. I'm not just suing. I'm taking everything." Gail Matthews reads the death certificate twice before looking up at me, her brows knitted in disbelief. "This is beyond fraud," she says quietly. "This is identity theft. Financial abuse. False documentation. I mean, Ruth, this is a federal crime." "I know," I say, calm and cold. But inside, I'm burning. Burning with betrayal. Burning with the humiliation of it all. Burning at the image of my niece sitting comfortably in her 2-story house while I sat in the dark wondering why I couldn't afford groceries this week. "I want her to pay," I say, "with more than money." The next 3 days, Gail moves fast. She files a formal complaint with the Office of the Inspector General, reports the Social Security fraud, and puts together a civil case with 3 counts, filing a false death certificate, illegally cashing federal checks, and elder exploitation. And that's just the warm-up. We pull my bank records and match up when the payments stopped. Then we check where they started again, because surprise, my benefits didn't just stop. They were rerouted to a new account, a joint account, with my name and Teresa's on it. She forged my consent. Gail exhales. This is slam dunk evidence. She won't just owe restitution, she could do time. I nod. Let's make sure the whole town knows. But I don't stop with lawyers. I stop by the post office again, but this time, I wear makeup. Lipstick and blush. I brush my silver hair back neatly and pin on a brooch shaped like a dove. It's one Teresa gave me for my 70th birthday, ironically. I step up to the counter. The freckled boy stares. You're back." I smile. In the flesh. He laughs awkwardly, then says, "Ma'am, someone picked up your last 3 registered mail packages. We asked for ID, she had one. Do you have her signature on file?" He nods, then hesitates. "We keep records. For court stuff, I mean." "Perfect. Then save them. Because court is exactly where this is going." Later that afternoon, I take the long bus route through town. Not because I need to, but because I want to be seen. I wave to old neighbors. I nod at the butcher. I pass the park bench where Teresa's sons used to eat their ice cream cones while I watched with a book on my lap. Nobody says it, but I see it in their faces. Didn't we hear she died? I let the gossip cook. Because in a town like Willow Creek, gossip is faster than fire. The next day, I call Teresa from Gail's office. I put the call on speaker. Gail records the entire thing. Ring, ring, click. Aunt Ruth. Her voice is cheerful, too cheerful. "I've been meaning to call. You forged my death." Silence. "I have the certificate. Your signature. The bank trail. The mail theft. It's all going to court." She tries to laugh it off, but it dies in her throat. I didn't mean to. You meant to take my money and leave me out of my own life." "Aunt Ruth, please, my boys. Don't talk about your boys. You used them like props." "I didn't think you'd find out," she whispers finally. "Clearly. That was your second mistake." That evening, I sit by my kitchen window. I watch the sun set over the laundromat roof. That old orange glow stretches across the sky, turning the world gold. My cup of tea trembles slightly in my hands, not from fear, but from energy. Because for the first time in months, I feel awake. I'm not the victim of a cruel trick. I'm the witness who lived to tell it. And I'm going to tell everyone. The lawsuit hits her like a slap in the face. Teresa tries to settle. Tries to offer me $10,000 in cash to make it go away. I smile. Because she doesn't realize yet, I'm not suing for money. I'm suing for ownership. Ownership of my name. My record. My narrative. We reject the settlement. Gail files a motion to subpoena her bank, her emails, and even the text messages between her and her husband, because guess what? He helped her set up the fake account. And in one of those texts, he jokes. How long do we have to pretend to cry at a funeral that didn't happen? When Gail reads it aloud in her office, I don't flinch. I just ask, can we blow that one up on a poster board for the courtroom? I take it a step further. I contact the local newspaper. I write a letter titled, I was declared dead by my own family. I'm still here. They run it on the front page. With my picture. Wearing the burnt orange cardigan. Standing in front of my mailbox. Holding up the death certificate. The caption reads, Local woman declared dead by niece, now suing for identity theft, fraud and dignity. By morning, the phones are ringing. The courthouse receives over a dozen letters from townsfolk demanding justice. A local podcast even reaches out to interview me. The community that once forgot me is suddenly asking, how could this happen? And I tell them, clearly. Because sometimes, justice starts with being seen. The pre-trial hearing is scheduled. Teresa tries to delay it, claims she has a medical emergency. She doesn't. She's just scared. Too bad. Because this time, I'll be sitting in the front row. Alive. Ready. And wearing the same burnt orange cardigan she once mocked behind my back. I'll walk into that courtroom like I walked into my own kitchen, with confidence and clarity. And when they call her name, and then mine, and they see us standing on opposite sides of the room, both breathing, only one of us will look like a ghost. I sit outside the courthouse 30 minutes early. The morning air is cool, but my heart is calm. I'm wearing the same burnt orange cardigan, the one Teresa used to call retirement rust. She once told me it made me look like a withered pumpkin. Well, today this pumpkin is going to roast her. Gail walks up with her briefcase. You ready? She asks. I was ready the moment she cashed that first check. Inside, we sit on the plaintiff's side. Teresa walks in 5 minutes late, holding a tissue she doesn't need and pretending her mascara is smudged from crying. It's not. It's poorly applied panic. She sees me and freezes like she's seen a ghost. How fitting. I cross my arms, lean back in the hard wooden bench, and smile just enough to let her know. I'm not gone. I'm here. And I brought fire with me. The judge asks us both to stand. Are you Ruth Eleanor Harris? I am, I say. Clear. Strong. Unshaken. Teresa shifts nervously beside her lawyer, a thin man in an ill-fitted suit who looks like he was hired on discount. We will review the following: allegations of fraudulent death declaration, mail and identity theft, unauthorized access to federal payments, and bank fraud. Defense. The defense lawyer mutters something about miscommunication and clerical misunderstanding. Gail doesn't even flinch. Your Honor, she says, rising to her full height, we have notarized bank forms, a forged signature, witness statements from postal employees, and a confirmed text message between the defendants joking about her fake funeral. There is no misunderstanding here. Only malice. The judge raises an eyebrow. Then he says something that changes everything. I will allow the plaintiff to speak for 5 minutes. Gail turns to me. Do you want to? I nod once. Then I stand up, walk to the center of the courtroom, and take a deep breath. I'm 75, I begin, and I was declared dead without ever closing my eyes. I let the words hang in the air. My own niece filed papers saying I had passed. Not to honor me, not to grieve me, but to steal from me. The judge watches intently. My grocery card stopped working. My lights got shut off. My prescriptions vanished. I thought the world forgot me. But it didn't. She erased me. I turn my head slowly and meet Teresa's eyes. And now, I'm writing myself back in. After court adjourns for the day, Gail and I walk out into the sunlight. Reporters are waiting. Microphones are raised. The local news van is parked beside the courthouse steps. They swarm, asking questions. Is it true your family declared you dead? How did you find out? What do you want now? I smile. Calm. Collected. I want justice. I want awareness. And I want every older person to know, just because you're quiet doesn't mean you're gone. The story airs that night at 6 p.m. I'm sitting at my little dining table, sipping chamomile tea, watching the screen as the news anchor says, "Tonight's top story, she was declared dead, but she's very much alive and fighting back." And then my face fills the screen. Alive. Radiant. Real. But that's not all. The next morning, I receive an envelope from the State Office of Vital Records. Inside, a formal letter of apology, and a correction certificate declaring the previous death record fraudulent and invalid. It feels like winning back a piece of myself. Gail calls it a paper resurrection. I call it proof. Proof I'm still here. Proof I'm still me. Proof no one gets to write my ending but me. Over the next week, we continue building the case. Teresa's lawyer tries every trick, extensions, delays, character references. None of it sticks. Because I also gather my own army. My old neighbor writes a letter testifying that I was very much alive the whole time. My church sends in a letter with weekly attendance logs. Even the bus driver signs a statement saying he's seen me nearly every day. Teresa had counted on silence. But I found my voice. And it was louder than her lies. Then Gail brings me an offer. The prosecutor's office wants to file a criminal case, she says. They've seen enough. What's the punishment? Minimum 5 years. Maybe more if we include the text messages and the mail fraud. I sip my tea slowly. Then say, let them. The trial begins 2 months later. This time, the courtroom is packed. The story has gone national. One of those morning talk shows even asked to fly me out for an interview. But I declined. Because my revenge isn't meant for a soundbite. It's meant for a gavel. Inside the courtroom, Teresa looks smaller. Her burnt orange cardigan-wearing ghost is now very much alive, and stronger than ever. She avoids my eyes the entire time. But I never once look away. Because if she had the nerve to declare me dead behind my back, she'd better have the nerve to face me alive. Gail delivers the closing argument like a knife wrapped in silk. Then the judge reads the verdict. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing to follow. There is no applause. No cheers. Just a slow, collective inhale. And then a release. Teresa sobs as they lead her away. And I walk out into the sun with my shoulders straighter than they've been in years. Because I didn't just survive. I resurrected. On paper. In court. In life. And I took every step back with purpose. Later that week, I sit at the same post office window where this all began. The clerk smiles. Welcome back, Ms. Harris. I hand him a small package, addressed to Gail. Inside it, a thank you note, a brooch just like mine, and a copy of the newspaper clipping. Folded next to it is a sticky note with 4 words. Let them bury me. I'll dig my way out. I never thought justice would feel so quiet. After the courtroom cleared and the headlines faded, you'd think I'd be celebrating, throwing confetti, clinking glasses. But instead, I sit in my tiny kitchen, sipping coffee from a chipped mug, and staring out the window. There's no parade. No party. Just peace. And peace, I've learned, is the loudest form of revenge. 2 weeks after the verdict, I receive a letter from the Department of Social Security. They've officially re-verified my identity. Reinstated my payments. They even backpaid the months I was dead. The check is fat. Nearly $18,000. The letter includes a formal apology. But it's not the money that gets me emotional. It's the phrase. Confirmed, Ruth Eleanor Harris is alive and active in the system. Alive. And active. They tried to erase me, but the world had to put me back. I used that first check to fix up my house. New paint. New mailbox. A sturdy fence and fresh flowers out front. I even get my roof patched up before winter. I reclaim my home, one nail, one color, one bloom at a time. And then, I do something bolder. Something I never thought I'd do at 75. I apply for business permits. When Teresa stole my identity, I realized something chilling. I didn't have much in place to protect it. No alerts. No passwords. No safeguards. So I spent hours researching, on my little old laptop with the cracked hinge and missing M key. And what I discovered shocked me. There were hundreds of seniors every year declared dead prematurely. Some by accident. Many by fraud. Most of them never got their money, or their names back. I couldn't undo what happened to me. But I could warn others. So, I launched a project. It starts small, a folded pamphlet titled, Still Alive, What to Do When They Say You're Not. Inside are step-by-step instructions. How to report a fraudulent death certificate. How to re-establish identity with banks and government offices. How to protect your social security and benefits. Which agencies to contact. What language to use. And how to fight without losing your sanity. I print 200 copies at the local library. Drop some off at senior centers. Slide a few into post offices. Give a stack to Gail, who hands them out at court for free. Then something wild happens. One of the pamphlets ends up in the hands of a woman whose husband was actually declared dead while still breathing. She follows the guide. Gets his identity back. Then she emails me a thank you note that reads, Your ghost story brought my husband back. That's when I know, this isn't just a project. It's a purpose. I file paperwork to turn Still Alive into a non-profit. It takes a few months. I have to learn the ropes, tax forms, 501c3, bank accounts, web domains. But every late night I spend figuring it out makes me feel more alive than I have in years. Teresa took months from my life. Now I'm reclaiming years from others. And guess what? I use part of the restitution Teresa was ordered to pay to cover my startup costs. Poetic, isn't it? She committed the crime. And funded the fight against it. But I'm not done. I get invited to speak on a local radio show. The host asks, What do you want people to take away from your story? I lean into the mic and say, I want them to know that old doesn't mean invisible. That you can lose everything, your checks, your name, even your legal identity, and still fight back. She pauses, then says, You're quite the comeback story. I reply, calm as ever. Comeback implies I left. I was always here. They just weren't looking. The radio segment goes viral. The station uploads the clip to social media. It gets over 3 million views in a week. People start messaging. Some want help. Others just want to say thank you. I keep every handwritten letter. Tape them to my fridge. They remind me I'm not just surviving, I'm sparking something. One woman sends a photo of her holding a laminated copy of the pamphlet with a sticky note. Alive. Active. And never letting them bury me again. Then I get an idea, one that comes to me while walking past an abandoned storefront near my local post office. The windows are dusty. The sign is half fallen. But something about it feels right. It's a place no one looks at anymore. Like me. Like so many others. So I call the number listed on the door. Ask how much they want. And then I buy the building. Everyone calls me crazy. You're too old for this, the bank manager chuckles when I sign the loan documents. I smile sweetly and say, You'll want to remember that statement when we're cutting the ribbon. Because that storefront? It's about to become the headquarters of Still Alive. With a walk-in center. A helpline. A printing room for our growing pamphlet line. The place even has a side room I convert into a legal clinic. Gail agrees to consult pro bono once a month for cases like mine. We call it the Resurrect Room. Because some people come there to be remembered. Others come there to rise. And now? Now when I walk through that office each morning, burnt orange cardigan, keys in hand, I don't feel old or fragile. I feel unburied. I survived being declared dead. And now I help others live louder than ever. I never expected to be busy at 75. Not just pottering around the garden kind of busy, but phone ringing, appointment scheduling, email answering busy. My living room has turned into a command center. The dining table? Covered in folders and highlighted notes. There's a laptop always open, a landline always buzzing, and a notebook with half-brewed ideas scribbled in the margins. Still alive, my little ghost-proof operation is no longer little. It started with one pamphlet. Then came the non-profit paperwork. Now, we've got volunteers across 3 states, a toll-free hotline, a growing list of donors, and a waiting list of seniors needing help. Most days I feel a kind of electric energy pulsing in my chest. Not anxiety. Not fear. Power. And maybe just a little bit of fire. Because every time someone calls to say, they tried to erase me too, I lean in close and reply, they failed. I visit the post office that nearly gave my checks to thieves. The same building where I showed up after being declared dead. This time, I'm not there to demand answers. I'm there to deliver hope. I bring a stack of our updated booklets and ask the manager, a kind man named Reggie, if we can leave them on the community board. He recognizes me. His eyes widen. Miss Harris? You're the one. Yes, I smile. I'm the one who came back from the dead. He laughs. Then grows quiet. I'm sorry for what happened. Really. We didn't know. I know, I say gently. But now, you'll help others know better. He pins the booklets to the corkboard himself. That same day, I get a call from a reporter at the Atlanta Times. He says he's doing a piece on senior scams, fraud, and wrongful declarations of death. Your story's already been covered nationally, he says, but what you're building? That's bigger. He asks if I'll agree to an interview. I say yes, on one condition. I don't want to be another sob story. I want you to write about how I took back what they stole. He agrees. The next week, the headline drops. Declared dead, she came back to life, and built an army to protect others. The article gets shared thousands of times. My mailbox floods with support. Cards. Emails. Messages from strangers who say they've never heard anyone talk about this out loud. I get a handwritten letter from a retired judge who read the article and cried. I frame it and hang it in my office. Right next to my death certificate, the fake one they used to erase me. Yes, I framed that too. Because sometimes, to appreciate your strength, you have to keep your scars visible. But even with all this momentum, not everything runs smoothly. Our website crashes from too many visitors. Our printer jams on the day we're shipping 300 packets. And I accidentally delete an entire spreadsheet of donor names. Technology has never been my strong suit. But I laugh through it. Because every obstacle means someone is looking, listening, learning. And we are no longer invisible. Then one day, Gail calls. There's a woman in New Mexico who got the runaround like you, she says. Social Security, DMV, IRS, everyone passed her case around like a hot potato. She doesn't have family, Gail adds quietly. She needs someone to stand with her. Book me a flight, I say instantly. She hesitates. Are you sure? I've already come back from the dead, I chuckle. A plane ride isn't going to kill me. New Mexico is hot, dry, but the welcome is warm. The woman, her name is Lorraine, is 82. Sharp as a tack, but scared, and angry, and exhausted. She tells me how her mail stopped coming. Her health benefits vanished. Her utility company shut off her water because their system said she was deceased. She holds up a pink envelope with shaky hands. This was the last thing I received. It's a sympathy card. From my neighbor. I sit beside her. I don't promise her it'll be easy. I just promise her she won't fight alone. We get her documents in order. I fax forms. I call offices. I even drag Gail onto a video call at 11 p.m. It takes 3 weeks. But then it happens. Lorraine's name reappears in the system. Her checks restart. The water company calls to apologize. And Lorraine? She cries on my shoulder. You saved my life, she whispers. No, I say. I just reminded them you were alive. When I return home, something unexpected awaits me. A package. No return address. Inside is a photo album. On the cover, For the ones who refused to stay buried. Each page has a photo, name, and story of someone still alive helped. I flip through it slowly, my throat thick. There's a woman who got her identity back before losing her battle with cancer, but died on her terms. There's a man who reunited with his daughter after the courts restored his benefits. There's even a dog named Rufus, returned to his senior owner once her death was reversed in the shelter's records. I close the album and press it to my heart. Later that night, I sit outside in my rocking chair. Cool breeze brushing my face. Burnt orange cardigan wrapped around my shoulders. And I think back to when I stood at the post office counter, confused, scared, uncertain if I even existed anymore in the eyes of the world. Now, the world knows I'm here. And I'm not going anywhere. Not yet. Not when there are still people trying to scream from the shadows. I'm not gone. I'm just unheard. Not when I still have a voice. And that's when I get the letter. From Teresa, the niece who started it all. It's a short note. No apology. No real emotion. Just a bitter scribble. I hope you're happy. You ruined everything I had. I don't even hesitate. I write back one sentence. You never had anything that wasn't already mine. Then I toss her note in the trash and keep my pen moving, addressing envelopes filled with help and hope to people across the country. Because I don't waste time feeding ghosts. There's a moment, right before the lights come on, before the stage microphone squeals awake, when I pause and think. What would my younger self say if she saw me now? Would she recognize the woman who used to quietly knit by the window, now standing in front of 100 people, about to speak? Would she believe that death gave her life back? The ballroom is modest, but full. Chairs lined in tidy rows. Seniors, volunteers, caregivers. A banner hangs above the podium. Still alive, annual community empowerment luncheon. It's our first. And somehow, it's sold out. I step onto the small platform. My heart isn't racing, it's steady. Strong. I grip the mic. Thank you all for being here, I begin, voice clear. Not because you're victims, but because you're proof. Proof that people our age don't vanish. We rise. There's a round of applause. I smile. 2 years ago, I was declared legally dead. My checks were stolen. My name erased. And no one, not even my own niece, cared enough to stop it. A quiet hush falls. I walked into a post office and was told I didn't exist. Today, I walk into this room and see a movement. That's the power of showing up. After the speech, I'm swarmed with hugs. Some are soft, gentle. Others are tight, like they've been waiting years for someone to see them. A man hands me a small wooden pin. I carved this after your story helped my wife get her insurance reinstated. You reminded us she was still somebody. A younger woman squeezes my hand. My grandma read your pamphlet out loud at dinner. That's how we realized someone was cashing her checks. A volunteer pulls me aside. We've had 800 inquiries since the news interview. You're changing lives. I don't say anything clever. I just cry. A week later, I get an invitation. It's formal. Cream-colored envelope. Raised lettering. From the Office of Senior Justice and Rights in D.C. They're honoring me at a national conference, Senior Advocacy Trailblazers. The other recipients are professors, retired lawyers, even a former senator. And me? Just a once-dead lady who wouldn't go quietly. I accept. Washington, D.C. feels important. The building's tall. Marble floors echoing under orthopedic soles. I wear the same burnt orange cardigan. It's become my armor now. Familiar. Stubborn. Me. I step onto the main stage, this one much bigger, and speak again. This time, about policy. I talk about the need for stricter identity protections. Easier paths for reinstating wrongfully dead seniors. Fraud detection systems that actually listen when someone says, "I'm still here." I end with this. The system buried me. But I climbed out, shovel in hand, and built a staircase for others. Standing ovation. When I return home, Still Alive is waiting for me, with a surprise. The teams redecorated the office. A new framed quote above the door reads, "You're not a ghost. You're a force." Underneath it is a plaque with my name. Founder. Fighter. Survivor. I run my hand along it and smile. Not because it makes me proud, but because I know it won't end with me. One by one, I start training the next generation of leaders. A woman in her 50s named Cynthia takes over our hotline coordination. A tech-savvy 30-year-old named Miles helps modernize the site. Even a college student volunteers to turn our story into a podcast series. They all look at me like I'm some kind of hero. But I tell them the truth. I didn't do this because I was brave. I did it because I had no other choice. And because being erased teaches you what really matters: your name, your voice, your fight. The final scene? It happens on a Tuesday. I go back to the post office. The same one. I stand in line behind someone with a box of cookies and another holding a passport application. The clerk at the front finally looks up and says, "Next." I step forward. And he smiles. "Oh wow. Miss Harris. You're a legend around here." I hand him a stack of our newest pamphlets. He takes them without hesitation. I add softly, "Make sure you always double-check the names before you stamp them deceased." He nods seriously. "We do now. Thanks to you." I leave with my receipt, my head high, and a small grin playing on my lips. Outside, the sky is bright. Cloudless. I stand for a moment on the sidewalk, letting the sun touch my face. My steps are slower now, but no less certain. Because they thought the story ended when they faked my death. But that was only chapter 1. And here I am. Still breathing. Still fighting. Still alive.